After watching AG Numa's gameplay of Tears of the Kingdom, I realized that everything we saw was after the tutorial area. During the showcase, Link already had some new abilities and 4 hearts. Both of these were only obtainable during the tutorial area in Breath of the Wild. Those who had the chance to play the recent demo were not allowed to show any footage or talk about this starting area. Nintendo is purposely hiding the new shrines and or dungeons that Link will need to tackle to get these new abilities. Today, let's dig in and make some educated guesses on what the tutorial area might look like. Let's first build a micro timeline of how Tears of the Kingdom will start. Link has his new arm in all of the footage so far, except for when he and Zelda find Ganon. I think it's safe to say that this will be our starting point. From the footage shown in the first couple of trailers, this section seems to be mostly cutscenes. I however wouldn't be surprised if we play through some minor combat trials before finding Ganon. Once Ganon is found, the inciting incident of the story will begin. Link and Zelda will try to fight Ganon and fail. In the trailers, we see a number of devastating events happen in a short period of time. Link's arm gets injured by Malice, the Master Sword is broken, and Zelda falls into a crevice below. After these events, it looks like Link is saved by the arm that was holding Ganon down. The arm wears the same bracelet that Link wears for the rest of the game. I think this arm and its powers will bring Link to the Sky Islands during the remainder of the events with Ganon. This is when the tutorial area will begin. Also, it would be on brand for Link to wake up at the start of his journey, just like a majority of the games. The start of a game is crucial. It makes an impression and gives a player reason to stay engaged. The tutorial section of a game needs to have the right balance of important information and engagement with the theme. For a long time, games would have a mundane 20-minute tutorial slapped on them. These were usually text-based and dreadful to trudge through. There's nothing worse than getting home to play a game that you've been excited about just for the first 30 minutes to be nothing but text boxes and you not being able to actually play the character. Breath of the Wild shook the gaming industry in every way, including its tutorial section, the Great Plateau. This big open space allowed players to figure out many of the mechanics on their own. The map design allowed for a clear path to the next objective so players would understand how to progress through this section. The Zelda team used the player's curiosity as a guide for the tutorial. Yes, of course I'm going to talk to that random NPC who's sitting at a campfire. Boom, the tutorial quest starts. I see some tree branches and a wooden axe. Yep, I'm gonna go pick those up, and boom, I have an understanding of the weapon system. The list goes on, and before I knew it, I was completing shrines and exploring a relatively big section of the game, all within the first half hour. Exploration of the Great Plateau is rewarded with loot and valuable information. If you didn't explore and find the old man's house before entering the cold area, you wouldn't know to cook the spicy peppers in order to make a dish that keeps Link warm and makes this section much easier. Games that start big and bold like Breath of the Wild leave a much longer impact on me. The games I remember the most are those that made the start feel special. Ocarina of Time is one such game. I had no idea what Zelda was when I inserted the cartridge and fired up my N64. I was immediately taken away by the mystical forest aesthetic. Exploring the little village is an experience I will never forget. Once my brother and I found a sword and bought the Deku Shield, we knew this game was going to be amazing. This was a micro tutorial area that allowed for exploration and curiosity. The next section of the game was the Deku Tree Dungeon. This was the game's way of showing us what to expect throughout the entirety of our playthrough. The Great Deku Tree is still my favorite Zelda dungeon for this very reason. It just set the tone. One game that has a unique opening is Elden Ring. In From Software fashion, the first enemy found is too strong to beat, unless of course you are a gaming god. And the game will start with death, the precursor to what is to happen a lot. The tutorial section comes next, and it's completely optional. This was a smart move since the studio knew players would come back for more with different starting classes. If a player does decide to take on the tutorial, it's fast, simple, and gives runes for an early level up. Either way, Elden Ring gets players into the core experience within the first 10 minutes or so of the game. I lined this all out just to say the start of a game is just as important as its core. Tears of the Kingdom has some big pixels to fill. Breath of the Wild blew away new and returning Zelda players. Alright, enough puns. For now. But seriously, the wonder of such a beautiful and expansive world was captivating. All of this was captured in a simple cutscene of Link running up to a ledge to see the largest Hyrule yet. This seemingly simple thing grew into a gaming trend. Why? Because it builds excitement and curiosity right at the very start of a player's experience. Tears of the Kingdom will need to do something similar. A tutorial is meant to teach a player about the core mechanics of the game before the journey starts. This is why I believe the tutorial area will be in the sky. We already know how the game operates on the surface, so it would make sense for us to learn about the islands and how to traverse them. I believe the method of how we obtain the first 4 abilities will mirror Breath of the Wild. Link will travel to Zonai equivalents of Sheikah shrines, and within these shrines there will be a trial or puzzle that will teach us the possibilities of our new abilities. We will most likely gain spirit orbs along the way, or at least something similar to them. That way we can gain an extra heart or part of a stamina wheel by the end of the tutorial area. I fear a more linear experience in this area due to how far away most of the islands seem to be from each other and the general size of them. This could be remedied by having the paraglider right away, or even learning some travel mechanics we have yet to see. I don't believe we will have the ability to skydive until after the tutorial. This would be similar to not having the paraglider to leave the Great Plateau until you are actually finished with the Great Plateau. No matter how big or small, open or linear the tutorial might be, I am sure we are going to have a great journey and experience waiting for us at the very start of the game. I plan on doing a follow-up video once the game is released to discuss the similarities and differences between the 2 tutorial areas. Consider subscribing so you don't miss that video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great one.